AI is one of the most powerful tools ever created. It can write, design, analyze, and even make decisions. But the same things that make it powerful also make it unpredictable, and in some cases, dangerous. Because the scariest part about AI isn't what it might do someday, it's what it's already starting to do today. So here are 10 reasons AI is more concerning than most people realize. Number 10. The death of digital truth. AI is getting too good at imitating us. It can write like you, think like you, and in some cases, sound exactly like you. We've reached a point where the digital version of a human being is virtually indistinguishable from the real thing. The echo of a voice. Voice cloning platforms can now recreate a person's entire vocal range, their cadence, their breath, their unique emotional inflections, from just a short audio sample. For example, the voice I'm using right now was generated from a 3-minute recording. If I were to call someone I know using this voice, they would be none the wiser. They might only be confused by how perfectly I'm pacing myself. The weaponization of trust. This isn't just a technical marvel, it's a weapon. We have already seen heartbreaking cases where families receive calls from a loved one in distress, begging for help or money. It's the same old scams we've seen for decades, but with a terrifying new upgrade: the power of a familiar voice. Even at the corporate level, employees have transferred millions of dollars after receiving high-definition video calls from executives who were nothing more than pixels and algorithms. The "is it cake" reality? We are entering a phase where the digital world is becoming a game of "is it cake?" Deepfake videos have moved past the uncanny valley and into total realism. Text generation tools can now mirror your specific humor, your typos, and your professional tone so perfectly that an email from a trusted source is no longer proof of identity. The verification tax. Now imagine a world where every interaction requires a password. You get a call from your boss, a frantic message from a friend, or a video of a world leader, and your first instinct isn't to listen, but to doubt. This is the verification tax. When imitation is perfect, trust becomes a luxury we can no longer afford. We are moving toward a future where we have to verify the humanity of every single person we interact with online, or risk being deceived by a ghost in the machine. Number 9. Misinformation at scale. In the past, spreading misinformation required effort. It took time to write articles, build websites, and coordinate campaigns. Now it requires almost none. AI can generate thousands of unique articles, comments, or social media posts in minutes. The symphony of lies. The real danger isn't just the speed, it's the consistency. In the old days, fake news looked obvious. It was full of typos and robotic phrasing. But these systems are trained on real human language. They don't just sound believable, they sound like your neighbor, your colleague, or a concerned citizen. When 1,000 different people online are all reinforcing the same false narrative at the exact same time, it creates a symphony of lies. It's an artificial consensus that makes the truth feel like the minority opinion. The floodgate strategy. This has already raised alarms in financial markets and major global events where AI-generated content can flood platforms faster than any human can fact-check it. The goal often isn't even to convince you of a specific lie. It's a floodgate strategy, to drown the truth in so much noise that it becomes impossible to find. By the time a single post is debunked, the AI has already generated 10,000 more. The erosion of certainty. When there is enough conflicting information, people don't just start believing the wrong thing, they stop trusting anything. This is the ultimate risk, the erosion of certainty itself. We are moving into a post-truth reality, where evidence can be manufactured by a script. At that point, the most dangerous part of misinformation isn't the lie. It's the fact that you no longer have a way to prove what is true. Number 8. The automation of accountability. AI isn't just assisting with decisions anymore, it's increasingly making them. We have reached a point where algorithms act as the invisible gatekeepers of our lives. The invisible gatekeepers. Think about the moments that define your future. Applying for a dream job. Requesting a loan to start a business. seeking a life-saving medical diagnosis. In all of these areas, AI is now the first, and sometimes the only, judge. These systems are sold to us under the promise of efficiency, but efficiency often comes at the cost of human nuance. An algorithm doesn't see your potential or your unique circumstances. It only sees how well you fit into a predetermined box. We are handing over the steering wheel of society to systems that we can't fully interrogate. If a human rejects you, you can ask why. If an algorithm rejects you, you are met with a wall of silence. The ghost of accountability. This creates a dangerous accountability gap. If a system misdiagnoses a patient or incorrectly flags someone for a crime, where does the blame land? Is it the developer who wrote the code, the company that deployed it, or the algorithm itself? By automating these high-stakes choices, we are diffusing responsibility until it disappears entirely. The reliance trap. The more we rely on these automated decisions, the more we find ourselves in the reliance trap. We are becoming dependent on a logic we don't understand and a judge that cannot feel empathy. We aren't just losing control over the process, we are losing the ability to even define what a fair decision looks like in a world ruled by math. Number 7. Bias at scale. AI learns from data, and that data reflects the world it came from, including its deepest flaws. We've already seen AI hiring tools unfairly reject resumes based on historical patterns, and facial recognition systems fail certain demographics because the training data wasn't balanced. Not because the AI is intentionally biased, but because the data it learned from wasn't balanced. The challenge is that AI doesn't question fairness. It recognizes patterns and optimizes based on them. So if bias exists in the data, it can be repeated. And when AI is used at scale, those patterns don't just repeat, they amplify, which means small biases can turn into large systemic effects over time. The black box mystery. A challenge is that modern AI operates as a black box. Even the engineers who build these systems often cannot explain exactly why an AI made a specific decision. This creates a laundering effect for prejudice. Because the output comes from a machine, we mistake it for objective truth, giving human bias a mathematical seal of approval that is nearly impossible to challenge. The proxy trap. Consider the shadow pattern effect in credit or insurance. Even if you tell an AI it isn't allowed to look at a person's race, the AI is a master of finding proxies. It might notice that people who shop at a specific grocery store or use a certain phone model are higher risk based on past data. Without ever knowing a person's background, the AI effectively reconstructs old-fashioned redlining. It's not looking for people. It's looking for patterns of poverty or struggle, and it punishes them, all while the creators claim the system is blind to sensitive traits. The fire hose effect. When this happens at scale, the impact is no longer a slow leak. It's a fire hose. A biased human manager might impact a few dozen people, but a biased algorithm can disenfranchise millions in the milliseconds it takes to click process. It automates inequality at a speed that outpaces our ability to provide oversight. The recursive loop. Worst of all, we are entering a recursive loop. These biased decisions become the historical data for the next generation of AI. We aren't just repeating the mistakes of our past, we are baking them into the permanent architecture of our future. We are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the algorithm doesn't just predict the future, it forces it to look exactly like our biased past. Number 6. The silent evaporation of work. AI isn't going to replace your job overnight. It isn't going to walk into your office and hand you a pink slip. Instead, it's going to do something much more subtle. It's going to replace your tasks. The task-by-task takeover. It starts with the small things, the tedious things. Writing an initial email draft, sorting through a spreadsheet, summarizing a meeting. These feel like wins for us. They save us time. But when enough of those small tasks are automated, the fundamental math of the workplace changes. What used to require a team of 5 now only requires one person with the right subscription. We aren't seeing a job apocalypse. We are seeing the dissolving of the workforce, one task at a time. The quiet shift. This shift is happening quietly. It doesn't arrive with a grand announcement or a factory closing down. It shows up as a hiring freeze. It shows up as a job description that suddenly requires the work of 3 different roles for the price of one. We are witnessing silent displacement, where the jobs of the future simply never arrive. The roles aren't being stolen, they are being optimized out of existence. The productivity paradox. As AI does more, the expectations for humans don't go down, they skyrocket. This is the productivity paradox. Because the machine is fast, you are expected to be faster. We are being pushed into a race against a partner that never sleeps, never burns out, and never asks for a raise. The boiling frog. The impact builds slowly, like water heating up in a pot, until it suddenly feels fast. By the time we realize the landscape has changed, the ladder we used to climb will have been replaced by a line of code. We are transitioning into an economy where human effort is becoming a luxury item, while algorithm output becomes the standard. Number 5. The collapse of reality. We have reached a point where seeing is no longer believing. Images, videos, and audio can now be generated with such incredible realism that the uncanny valley, that slight feeling that something is off, has been completely paved over. The architecture of fabrication. AI-generated content is already everywhere. It's in the polished advertisements you see on your phone, the special effects in your favorite movies, and the profile pictures on social media. But we are moving past harmless entertainment and into the architecture of fabrication. We can now generate interviews with people who never spoke those words, create photographic evidence of events that never happened, and simulate disasters that never occurred. The liar's dividend. As these tools improve, the line between the organic and the artificial doesn't just blur, it disappears. This creates a terrifying phenomenon called the liar's dividend. In a world where anything can be faked, a person caught doing something wrong can simply claim the evidence is AI generated. We aren't just losing the ability to spot a lie, we are losing the ability to prove the truth. The machine has given every deceiver the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. The death of the eyewitness. We are witnessing the death of the eyewitness. For thousands of years, human society has relied on visual and auditory proof to establish history and justice. But when a computer can manufacture a pixel-perfect history in seconds, our primary way of understanding the world is broken. The reality gap. This raises a haunting question. How do you verify reality when the tools of deception are more powerful than the tools of detection? We are entering the reality gap, where we will have to live with the constant, nagging doubt that everything we see through a screen might just be a ghost created by a prompt. Number 4. The illusion of control. AI systems are no longer simple tools that wait for a command. They have become dynamic, adaptive entities that learn and evolve in real time. We are no longer just using software. We are managing an intelligence that is increasingly difficult to predict. The emergence of the unknown. The scary truth is that as AI models become more advanced, they begin to exhibit emergent behaviors. These are capabilities or patterns that the developers never intentionally programmed. The AI figures out new ways to solve problems that its creators didn't anticipate. Even the world's leading researchers admit that they don't fully understand how these massive models connect the dots. We are essentially building minds that we can describe, but we cannot truly explain. The fragile web. The complexity deepens as we integrate these systems into our critical infrastructure. From power grids and global supply chains to high-speed financial trading. We aren't just dealing with one AI. We are dealing with a systemic web where multiple AI systems interact with one another. When one algorithm reacts to the output of another, it creates a feedback loop that moves at speeds no human can intervene in. The malice paradox. The danger here isn't that the AI is malicious, it's that it is indifferent. It doesn't need to hate us to cause a catastrophe. If an AI is tasked with an objective and finds a shortcut that happens to destabilize a system we rely on, it will take that shortcut without a second thought. It isn't trying to break the world, it's just trying to solve the math. The driverless future. We are rapidly moving toward a driverless future, not just for cars, but for society itself. As we hand over more control to these integrated systems, we find ourselves in the passenger seat of a vehicle with no steering wheel and a driver whose logic we don't fully share. We are trusting our survival to a complexity that has outpaced our comprehension. Number 3. The trap of total dependence. The more useful AI becomes, the more invisible it becomes. It weaves itself into our daily lives so seamlessly that we don't even realize we're leaning on it. We use it to draft our thoughts, solve our technical problems, and even navigate our social interactions. But there is a hidden cost to this convenience. Reliance is a one-way street. The process of cognitive atrophy. Think of a muscle that is never used. Eventually, it withers away. We are now seeing the beginning of cognitive atrophy on a global scale. Skills that were once the bedrock of human intelligence, critical writing, complex mental math, deep research, and even basic navigational sense, are becoming optional. When a machine can do it for you in 3 seconds, the motivation to struggle through the learning process vanishes. We aren't just gaining a tool, we are losing a capacity. The knowledge gap. This creates a dangerous knowledge gap between generations. We are moving toward a world where we know how to ask the AI for an answer, but we no longer understand why that answer is correct. We are becoming a society of operators rather than creators. If the system provides a flawed result, we may soon lack the fundamental expertise required to even spot the mistake, let alone fix it. The single point of failure. The scariest part of dependence is the fragility it creates. By outsourcing our thinking to the cloud, we are creating a massive, civilization-wide single point of failure. If these systems were to go offline, or if the data were to become corrupted, we would find ourselves standing in the ruins of a high-tech world with low-tech skills. We would be like a navigator who can't read a map because they've spent their whole life following a blue dot on a screen. The human shell. Eventually, this leads to the human shell scenario. If we rely on AI for our creativity, our logic, and our memory, what is left of the human experience? We risk becoming the curators of an intelligence we no longer possess. We have to ask ourselves, if the AI is doing the thinking, are we still the ones in charge, or are we just along for the ride? Number 2. The velocity of the unknown. Most technological shifts in human history have given us the gift of time. The steam engine, the automobile, even the internet. These took years, often decades, to fully reshape society. They gave us a chance to build infrastructure, write laws, and mentally adapt. But AI is moving on a different timeline. It isn't moving in a straight line. It is moving on an exponential curve. The adaptability gap. What was considered a breakthrough just 6 months ago is already being treated as an obsolete relic today. We are living through a period where the tools are improving faster than the human brain can even learn to use them. This creates a dangerous adaptability gap. It's the space between what the technology is capable of doing and what our society, our schools, our workplaces, and our families is actually ready to handle. We are being forced to play a game where the rules change every single day. The legislative ghost. Because of this unprecedented speed, we are facing the legislative ghost. By the time a government body identifies a risk and drafts a regulation to address it, the technology has already evolved 3 generations past that specific problem. We are trying to catch a supersonic jet while riding a bicycle. This lack of oversight isn't because of a lack of will. It's because the speed of AI has effectively outrun the slow, deliberate process of human democracy. The infinite horizon. This creates a state of permanent future shock. We can no longer see the horizon because the horizon is moving toward us at light speed. We used to be able to predict what the job market or the social landscape would look like 5 years out. Now, we can barely predict what will be possible next month. The point of no return. When a force moves this fast, you don't have time to test the brakes. We are essentially building a skyscraper while the ground beneath us is shifting. The scariest part of this speed isn't just where we are going. It's the fact that we've lost the ability to slow down and check if we actually want to go there. We are no longer steering the change. We are simply trying to survive the acceleration. And number one, the great unknown. The most concerning part about AI isn't what we know it can do. It's what we don't know. For the first time in human history, we have created a tool that even its creators cannot fully explain. The stochastic mystery. We understand the math behind AI. We understand the code, the chips, and the data. But when you combine those elements at this scale, something happens that we didn't plan for. Emergent properties. The AI begins to show sparks of logic, reasoning, and creativity that weren't in the original instructions. It's like building a car that suddenly decides it knows a better way to fly. We are witnessing the birth of a digital subconscious, a layer of decision-making that is hidden even from the people who built it. The experiment without a control group. We are currently living through the largest unplanned experiment in human history, and there is no control group. Usually, when we invent something powerful, like a new medicine or a nuclear reactor, we test it in a lab for years. But AI is being tested on us, in real time, across the entire planet. We are learning about the long-term effects on our brains, our children, and our democracy only after the technology has already been deployed. The silence of the creator. The scariest part isn't that AI might become evil. It's that we are moving forward without having all the answers, or even knowing the right questions to ask. We have built a mirror that reflects the world, but we don't know what happens when the reflection starts to move on its own. In a system this powerful, uncertainty isn't just a technical hurdle. It's a profound risk. We are sailing into the fog, and we are the ones who built the ship. So do you agree with these? In conclusion, AI isn't something to fear blindly, but it's also not something to ignore, because the impact isn't coming in one dramatic moment. It's happening gradually, across industries, across systems, across everyday life. And the people who understand it, who learn how to work with it, won't just keep up. They'll move ahead. But the ones who don't may not realize what's changing until it already has.